In this presentation, I will discuss 3 techniques to help you combat procrastination and focus on the process of work. The 3 techniques are the Pomodoro Technique, Eat Your Frogs First, and making a to-do list each evening for the following day. The Pomodoro Technique is used to counteract procrastination and to encourage focused attention on a task. It was invented by Francesco Cirillo in the late 1980s. The basic method consists of first deciding what task to focus on for a short period of time, usually 25 minutes, although the time can vary. The name Pomodoro Technique comes from the tomato shape of some kitchen timers. Pomodoro means tomato in Italian. During a Pomodoro session, a person turns on a timer and should not do anything unrelated to the task at hand. They should just focus on working on one task. It's important to emphasize that the goal during a Pomodoro session is simply to work. The goal is not to have a finished, polished product at the end of one session. This focus on working is referred to as a focus on process, not product. This point is so important that I will repeat it. Do not worry about the finished product. While doing a Pomodoro session, just focus on working. In other words, put effort into the process of working and don't worry about the product. One problem that arises when one focuses on the final product is that this tends to make the task much more difficult. For example, as I write the script for this project, I have a strong urge that I have to fight to edit it as I go along, rather than simply putting down words on paper. For my first draft, I have to remind myself to focus on one task, which is writing the script. I can do another Pomodoro session or 2 later to edit the script. One very important thing that I've found helpful is to turn off email notifications. The dinging sound of each incoming email takes me completely out of the flow of working on the task at hand. Another thing that I've found helpful is to have a sheet of paper and pen nearby. As I think of ideas that are tangential to the goal of the Pomodoro session, I jot those ideas down so that I can follow up on them later. For example, I might be tempted to learn how to pronounce Pomodoro in Italian. I would just quickly jot down those words, Pomodoro and pronunciation. Doing this doesn't disrupt my flow of thought too much, and I don't have to worry about using my working memory, which only has about 4 slots, trying to remember to learn how to pronounce this word later. Once a Pomodoro session is done, it's important to take a break. If you've really been focusing for 25 minutes straight, then your mind will be a little tired. I find that it's best to do something that's a true reward, such as getting a snack or walking outdoors. Although it's tempting to catch up on chores, this won't feel like much of a reward. The recommended time for a break between Pomodoro sessions is 5 minutes. I find it difficult to jump right back into a Pomodoro session after only 5 minutes, but I'm new to the technique. It may be easier to limit myself to 5 minutes the more practice I get. Ideally, one should do about 4 Pomodoro sessions in a row. However, this may not be possible. It's better to do 1 or even half a Pomodoro, say 12 minutes, than nothing at all. The first few times I tried the Pomodoro technique, it did not work for me. The reason was that I would forget that I was doing one. This led to distractions such as answering email, etc. Letting even one distraction get in the way of focusing on the task at hand was all it took for the method to stop working. To avoid this problem, I now use a free online website that makes a ticking sound during the Pomodoro session. This reminds me that I'm in the middle of doing one. Another thing that I found helpful was to keep track of the number of Pomodoro sessions I do each day. This makes doing them feel a bit like playing a game. I can see how many I did and compare that to the other days during the week. To make this easy to do, I use an app on my phone. So far, I've had good success with just these basic techniques. There are more advanced techniques, which can be found online or in books. Since I haven't tried them yet, I won't talk about them here. Overall, my impression is that the Pomodoro technique is very effective. I enjoy getting into the flow of work, focusing on the process of work rather than worrying about the end product. I think that the focus on process is like enjoying a long car ride. I dislike it when there are signs that tell me how many more miles there are before I get to my destination. Each time a sign like that comes up, I feel like it makes me focus too much on getting to the destination rather than just enjoying the sunset or other views that I may see along the way. Finally, a very important aspect of the Pomodoro technique is the fact that each session is relatively short. I find that my focus flags about halfway through a Pomodoro session. However, once I realize that I'm halfway through, I get renewed energy to finish the second half. After all, another 12 or 13 minutes is not very long. I will keep doing these basic Pomodoro techniques and hopefully move on to some of the more advanced Pomodoro techniques that can be found on the internet and in books. I would like now to turn to another technique called Eat Your Frogs First. The idea comes from Mark Twain, who said, "Eat a live frog first thing in the morning, and nothing worse will happen to you the rest of the day." The idea is that each day you should tackle your most unpleasant tasks first. Doing so will give you momentum for the rest of the day since your other tasks are less unpleasant. Another advantage is that your mind is often clearest in the morning before you're bombarded with all the other tasks that vie for your attention. The question is, how do you actually do this technique? It is easy to say that you should do your most unpleasant tasks first. It's another thing to actually do it. To set yourself up to eat a frog in the morning, you need to write down the frog on a piece of paper the night before. It's the first thing on your next day's to-do list. You should also gather together the materials you'll need for the task the day before. For example, if you're writing a paper based on a number of different readings, gather together those materials the day before. The final thing I want to talk about is the idea of making a to-do list in the evening for the next day. An item on a list serves as a cue. A cue is not inherently positive or negative. For example, a cue may be a ding sound telling you that you've received an email. This can distract you from the task you were focusing on. Thus, in terms of getting work done, this sort of cue is negative. However, cues can also be positive. Having a to-do list will help you accomplish work. Each item on the list is a cue that can help you get started on a task. Note that the items on the list should not be unrealistic. For example, instead of finish term paper, a better item would be work a bit on a section of a term paper. Again, it's better to focus on the process of working rather than the product. You need to just have some faith that the process of working will help you to eventually succeed. The topic of a to-do list was addressed in the video Juggling Life and Learning in the Coursera course Learning How to Learn. The advice given was that you should write a brief weekly list of key tasks in a planner journal. Then each day, on another page, write a list of tasks that you can reasonably work on or accomplish in a day. The daily task list should be written the evening before each day. The idea behind writing the list the day before is that it gives your subconscious time to grapple with the tasks on the list, helping you to work on them the next day. If you don't write these tasks down, then they may take up mental space, which prevents you from being able to fully focus on getting work done that requires your full attention. What sort of items should you put on your daily list? First of all, you should make the list a reasonable length. You may have some items that can be done in a matter of minutes. These are product-oriented items. You can quickly get them done and out of the way. Other items are process-oriented. In other words, these are tasks that you may work on for a period of time without the expectation that you'll finish the task. However, the important thing is that you will have gotten some work done towards your goal on the task. You may want to schedule in physical exercise. We know that physical exercise together with a good diet is important for keeping the mind sharp. I am new to writing these daily to-do lists. I find that when I write down a list, it is often in a random order. I take the list and then reorder the tasks, putting the most unpleasant and difficult ones first, followed by the easier, more pleasant ones. Remember, eat your frogs first. Finally, it's important to note a finish time for your daily work. Planning a quitting time each day allows you to have a little downtime each evening. This will help you to get the sleep you need to begin the next full day, full of energy to do your Pomodoro sessions, eat your frogs, and get work done on your daily to-do list. Thanks for listening.